Any other questions of Lori or Jack on our finances to date? Or?
I'm just glad it's not January 2009. That was not fun.
That's when it hit
That's
the
when it
fan.
hit the fan.
And we put some time in there to discuss budget priorities, goals, and this could be just sort of a brainstorming time, talking out loud, whatever, help give Jack some direction, because as he said, his budget process starts this coming week, actually.
Well, we'll formally get kicked off around the middle of February, but this is basically let everybody know what our timetable is. And I've already got people working on budgets right now. They just don't have the forms that we put together for them.
So we'll just open up the floor for some discussion. This can be some brainstorming time, questions, whatever you want to make. I'll just try, I guess this is a question for Jack and Lori. What do you guys, I know it's early, but what's your projections as far as potential growth as far as tax base, sales tax? I know we're talking about, in the budget we're talking about now, starts 6 months from now, and we'll run, so we're talking about a year and a half.
I don't see it growing in a substantial amount, either one of those. The tax base may have a little bit of growth in it. Hopefully it'll have some. You're either growing or you're dying. That's nothing that stands still. It's either going up or it's going down. I think that'll be pretty stable. Hopefully it'll grow just a little bit anyway. Sales tax just looks like it's level off unless something else comes along to hurt it. So based on what we know right now, I don't see any grand increase in any revenues at all, and we don't anticipate asking the board to consider tax increase next year. We'll try to maintain what we have. We do have some other issues coming up. One of the things that I didn't mention a while ago is we're doing this classification of pay plan now that may have an effect on the budget. We don't know what that is, so we ain't got the report yet. I'm hoping to have it by today, but we don't have it. And once we get that report, we're going to figure out how much of that, if any of it, that we can put into effect the next fiscal year or the year after that or the year after that, whatever it might take. So, but we don't see any great increase. I don't see any great increase in revenue. Expenditures will continue to whittle down and hold them at or below what we have right now, with the exception of any critical issues that may come up. We got some one-time expenditures this year on projects that y'all started that'll go away next year, which will reduce our budget some. But it looks to me at this point we're pretty much status quo budget again next year, without additional revenues and no really big expenditures on the horizon. We'll finish up a lot of capital projects we're working on right now, so those will go away. So I don't see a whole lot of movement in the budget this next year, up or down, probably about what it was this year. That's what it looks like at this point to me. Wish I could tell you it's going to take off. We're going to have 5% growth next year, but I just don't see it.
We wish. I wish you could tell me that.
Comments, thoughts, suggestions?
Well, I think it's, Mr. Chairman, it's a compliment to our county manager and the finance department and our and the folks who work at the county. I mean, Jack is exactly right. They know if they don't keep it under control, somebody has to go to the house. So we're very fortunate. I mean, I sit in a meeting with a lot of counties from across the state, and we're very fortunate to have the leadership. I think we've had a board that that's listening to the county manager and the priorities and how the money's to be spent. So we are in a good position, but we've got to remember that when people see this fund balance, they say, well, you have a fund balance that's way too high. We used to have a lot of folks who says, spend that fund balance, and wait for sign, spend that fund. I ain't seen those folks lately. Because had we not had that, we would have been in real tough situation.
Well,
So,
for example, I copied it back to you guys. You got an email from a lady in the county about the airport, and her concern was that here's even though we're getting a grant for most of that, you're having to spend $230,000, and her her comment was, and had I not known the inside, I probably would have said the same thing. Please don't raise our taxes or take out a loan for this, was what she said. And so I had the opportunity to write back and you know, I say I agree with you. We don't need to take out a loan. We don't need to raise taxes for this or any other project now. But we have a fund balance, and here's what a fund balance is. Explain that to her. And her comment back, and I know you guys saw it, said, thank you. She was very appreciative of the answer, and she said, thank you for having a fund balance. And, you know, I hope you continue that. I think she called it the rainy day fund, but she was very appreciative that we had it and that we're able to do things like the airport from that. And you're not talking about adding to the tax burden or take out a loan. And that's, as Ronnie said, that's a compliment to the current and past boards that have allowed that to be there.
And you need to remember, Mr. Chairman, that one of the reasons that when you see the percentage of the fund balance, and it sounds very much extreme, you gotta remember the reason that's up there, we cut the budget for the past 5 years. So in real dollars, in actual dollars, no, it's come down. The actual dollars in the fund balance. So the percentages have changed along with that. So
the 25% of 40 million is not the same as 25% of 60 million.
Well, just a big picture here, the budget, the county budget was just on the threshold of $50 million, and it's now 42 and change. So the county's done what households have had to do.
Well, it's good. I think it showed a lot of forward thinking on the part of the county when they decided instead of the mandatory 8%, which is basically 1/12 of your annual operating budget.
It's a month. 8% 1 month.
You'd have 1 month's worth of expenditures that you could pay if you got into a bind. The county saw the need, and thank goodness for all of us that we have at least 3 months worth of expenditures in there if we need it. And there have been occasions when you've had to use it for things, but the Macon County has been in good shape because of that policy set by previous Board of County Commissioners and management to hold on to that fund balance and not spend it all and keep that up there, because there are issues that come up all the time when you're going to have money. The other thing is, if we hadn't had that good a fund balance and tax collections and so forth, the rates we got on refinancing schools and so forth would have been much higher than what it has been. So it's a good thing to have. It's a good safety net.
Just to, I guess, point out the obvious, because it was just in the media this week, but things like the yellow, we didn't quit calling it the yellow building for this one anymore, but what used to be the yellow building, we bought that from fund balance. Because it was, and nobody anticipated that, nobody expected that a year ago. It was something that came available, and there was a real need there. Robbie had a need for space, and then we took out of the same fund balance, we took the money to renovate it. So we spent $450,000, and we have $1 million property, more or less, and provided something was needed. Again, if we didn't need it, then we didn't need to spend it, but we had it. It didn't have to be borrowed, and it didn't have to go into the budget per se. As the lady said, the tax rate. So
some of the other things that the county has done out of fund balance and may not catch much attention is the early college high school was built by the county without financing. That entire building was built and completed and is paid for out of fund balance and then other monies that we're able to scrape together. So once in a while, a real need arises, and that one, if you may recall, some of you do, I know that early college high school was meeting in this building, and they were out of space and had to have room for that. So right across the campus now, you got a nice new building, and the early college program is, I think, doing quite well.
and what was surprising, those of y'all, and I know you all do remember Hurricane Ivan. When Hurricane Ivan came, the county was in a position, and the county spent a lot of money to stabilize not only an overtime help, but a lot of other things. Now, did we get some of that money back? Yes. We're still not got it all back.
We still haven't got it all back.
And that's been
6 years, 7 years.
a pretty good while ago. So
we're still trying to work on that. Hopefully we can close out this year. The other thing about those grant programs and so forth that Mr. Bill's talking about is many times the the county has to upfront that money and then wait for reimbursement. If you don't have a fund balance, if you don't have any place to go get the money from, you can't meet those immediate needs and get reimbursed, and so we're fortunate to be able to do that.
But as we hope that we never have to go through another Hurricane Ivan again. But if a disaster should strike and hit affect the community like that one did, I think it's important this board to remember that there's just only one place to get the money to stabilize as best you can during a disaster, and that was proven during that time.
Yeah, we want to hold on to as much of that fund balance as we can, because you never can tell when you really have to have it. So I think the board and the county's done a good job of protecting that and using it for what it's designed for.
Since we've done such a good job of saying all the things that fund balance can do, I'm gonna roll in like a black cloud. It's the thing I do at budget time, Mr. Chairman. It's just me. There's a couple of things I want everybody to think about in that fund balance can't do that we're gonna have to grapple with. And I don't have an answer, guys, but in addition, I mean, we all know that the school system is going to be a challenge. To be able to do as much heavy lifting as we can, I think we all recognize that chances of us being able to support the weight that has been offloaded by Raleigh is not going to be possible. But we got to try to do the best we can there. And in another hat, let's don't forget that we've got a potential big bill in the health department coming. And I'm dreading looking at that budget, Mr. Manager, with the dental. We band-aided that program to the end of the fiscal year, but it's not gone away, and we're going to have to deal with that. So I don't have an answer for you. I don't know where I am on it. We're talking about budget priorities and budget projects. Let's don't forget those two before, and those are two that fund balance will not buy us out of. You know, fund balance is if you're going to use it, it's a one-shot deal. So as we look at basically a flat budget, those are two potential issues that I see coming down the pike. And I'd love to say I had a snappy answer for them, but I really don't.
I think, Mr. Kemp, of course, you can report back to us your liaison to that.
I have
that
my
board
first
now.
meeting. I have first meeting in 10 days, and I'll have an answer. I'll get us started.
You have your assignment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm well aware of that, and I'll start us down that road. I just as that in that capacity, I'm just throwing the flag up, saying I'm not gonna drop that on you on what day is it, May the 8th, and say, oh yeah, here we go. This is the problem, and this is how much money we need.
If my understanding is, though, if they get a dentist,
That's what I've got to find, and I don't know what the status is, and I'll report back to you at the next
that
meeting.
changes that.
But I just say that potential is out there for us to have to make that sort of a decision, and I don't want us to forget that, because we put a Band-Aid on things, and sometimes we
What
tend to
Mr.
forget
Pepper's
they're a
referring
problem.
to is, we're so at the federal level with the new health care plan coming into effect in a lot of ways. We're going to hear from the sheriff later on, and we're going to be discussing that and some hope that some children he's going to place out that we'll have some help with this time next year. We don't know that. The health department don't know what's going to happen with Medicare, Medicaid on the reimbursement, which is this county is very dependent on. So there's some unanswers out there that unanswers. Is that a word? Is that a word?
It works for me, I think.
There's some questions out there that ain't been answered about exactly where the feds are, on the reimbursement policies, with the health department, and the health department and some new rules that's coming into effect now, and the Medicaid waiver, which we'll be discussing during Robbie's time, and the cost that it's costing us. So there's just a lot of things that we don't.
Yeah, and I just believe we got good minds in the room, but we got to be thinking about those things. That's why I just want to keep bringing it up to the forefront. I don't want the next time we think about this to get May 8th. We need to be meshing these things together now rather than trying to carve things up on May 8th. That's all. That's the only reason I bring it up, Mr. Chairman. Sorry to be
along
black
the same
cloud.
lines there, though. One big part of that is the adult dental program that we talked about that y'all ready to come up and support that for the rest of the year. There's still a problem trying to find somebody to take that position. It's hard to find a dentist to do that. And,
Have they had any success at all?
not yet. So it's still hanging out there in the air. Now, the child dental health program has always been self-sustaining because there's been not more than enough Medicaid to cover that. The adult dental, that's a problem. one of the things that's hard to recruit somebody for adult dental is because they don't get the same kind of perks you do with somebody with child dental, because if you recruit a dentist that covers you for child dental health, they get a chance to get some of their expenses paid back for their education, and Mr. Corbin knows kind of what that costs, so.
Are we the smallest county that supplies adult dental care? Are we the smallest in the state?
I don't know if you're the smallest in the state, but we're one of the smallest. We had it in Haywood County, we had it in Caldwell County. I'm not sure, I don't think any other counties out here have it unless they share one with other counties, and they may have a limited dental program.
I can't find one.
Cherokee, Clay, maybe even Graham, I'm not sure. They may share maybe a dentist a couple of days a month, and that's really what they have. The smaller ones probably are still having to contract out with dentists. If you can find a dentist somewhere to do that, it's hard to find somebody who'll take the Medicaid patients because of the bureaucracy.
Like
and the
Senator
red
Davis is
tape
working
to
on
get your
Wednesdays.
reimbursement.
In it, so.
Yeah, so it's
Probably
it's
charging
gonna be,
people prices.
it's gonna be a challenge, it really is.
Yeah, it is.
But Jack, I think I already alluded to it. Jack, I think I can speak to the board. If I don't, you guys can jump in. I think our priority would be this year too to keep the budget the same or less, and keep the tax rate the same or less. And that's I think we all understand the economy we're in, and you know we're all hopeful that it's improving. I think we're seeing, Dr. Our building inspections, Ronnie alluded to it a while ago, I think our building might be on the slight increase, Ronnie, is that fair?
Well, it's still on life support, but it's breathing a little bit on it though.
We got a heartbeat.
So
It's got a heartbeat about every 10 minutes.
But, you know, we all understand the economy. It's every dime that we leave in people's pockets
There's some
is
positive.
another dime that.
There are
they
some
can spend.
positive in the Florida market. There's
Yeah.
some positive now in the Florida market, even in the Atlanta market, which
Which
really
directly
affects.
affects
Oh yeah, we work for pre-retirees and retirees, a lot of people in this room, and when those folks are not spending money, it's tough on us. So, but we still have a large volume of homes on the market, as anybody in real estate can tell you. But there are some, you know, there are some more bids coming in for those of us in the construction business, and so yeah, there are some indicators, but it's that French word fragile. It's awful fragile.
So driving forward, you know, we have to have that in mind, and I think Jack's already there. I don't think we need to convince him of that, but.
Well, we try to hold on to everything we got. The thing that we're trying to do, and we try to do this each year, is continue to provide at least the same level of service that you have been doing at the most economical way to do that. Sometimes we have people taking on more responsibility and spreading jobs among other people and finding something else for them to do, but and we haven't. When this recession started, I figured it'd last a year. We're now going into fourth year, I think. So we've been able to hold our own. Haven't had to grossly reduce any county level service. We're still providing all the services there. Our big point is we're not able to do any increase in any current operating expense for the schools because we just don't have the money to do it, and that's where we're. But you're doing good because, like you said before, it's a big percentage of our budget as it is.
It's all up to this fellow right here.
Anything else on the budget comments, general comments, direction for Jack? I think we're in agreement that we want to try to keep the budget at or below what it is now. Is that a consensus of the board? I believe I'm seeing head nods. So.
I think it's important to know, I mean, you know, and I don't want to bring back something, but the reevaluation. And the reason we had that discussion, why we didn't do it. Yeah, if you see our neighbors in Jackson County, they'll tell you exactly why they didn't do it. So, but it is coming. Now, there's no going to be no more postponements. It's coming, and we don't know where the market will be at that time. You talk to some folks, they say, well, it'll come back as much as 30%. We don't know that, so I'm just telling the board that we have to look at what we are now. We've not found nobody with no crystal ball that's gonna tell us how this is gonna come back to 30%. We don't know that. But it's looking down the road. That's coming. And,
This time next year, we'll be really gearing up close to getting, because revow takes about 2 years of intense work before it goes into effect. That's got to start in earnest in 2013, which is less than a year from now, in order to have it all on the books by January 1st, 2015, which is what's mandated by the state. So
Go back to
a lot of
something.
work to do.
Go back to something Ronnie said a half hour ago, on this revow. The folks that had asked me about that, it's really had a lot of comment on it, but it has to come back to the fact that you either trust your tax guy, Richard Leitner, or you don't. And I think we do. When because I was really struggling with that issue. I made that clear with everybody. But when it came down to it, you remember the night Richard was there and I asked him, can you tell us that you can do an accurate revow? And he said no. That's why we're where we are now, because we had faith in him. He couldn't do it. And at least my house in comparison to Chester's a lot wealthier than I am. He's got a lot bigger home, but my house in comparison.
The one here, the one on the lake. I mean,
Right. At least my house in comparison is relative, and that's the only way you can fairly assess taxes or set tax rates if it's relatively fair.
You talk about economy coming back, looking forward down the road. I think every one of us job is set here to keep the doors open and opportunities available when they are available.
I think you're exactly right, and that's why it's really critically important to have a good economic development program. We're going to get economy low later on some positive activity in there, so gotta be ready.
Anything else on the budget? Again, we're right on time and task. One thing I talked to Jack, and I think we agreed, didn't I?